Joining me now is Isabel Oakeshott, the political editor of the Sunday Times. We're also joined tonight by David Skelton, who works for a campaign group to broaden the appeal of the Conservatives, and handily enough is from the North East as well, so double whammy from you as well tonight. Isabel, I mean, he has apologised, we have to say that, but it's certainly one way to upset about 2.5 million people in about, what, 5 words?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really silly of him. You could see him pressing on there, despite the fact that he was getting quite a reaction in the debating chamber. And, you know, most politicians, particularly really experienced ones like him, he's been around quite a long time, they have a pretty well-developed kind of self-censorship mechanism that stops them saying anything that might be misconstrued or seen as a sort of an insult to anyone in any particular part of the country. And in his case, he just sort of ploughed on.
David, I mean, you're from County Durham, aren't you, of course, in the beautiful North East. How would you describe it? Is it desolate, like Lord Howell says?
Being from the North East, I would say it's anything but desolate. I would describe it as one of the most beautiful, historic, diverse parts of the country. I'd love to invite Lord Howell up for a tour so he can see how non-desolate the North East is.
Maybe he'll take you up on that offer. I'm sure he's got a bit of making up to do up there, hasn't he? But of course you work with the Conservatives, don't you? You certainly work to broaden the appeal of the Tories. And given that this gentleman is Lord Howell of Guildford, I mean, he's undoing all your hard work. It's a bit of a headache for you, isn't it, tonight?
Well, it's certainly a big challenge for the Conservative Party, and has been for many years, how the Conservatives can appeal to urban northern voters.
And they don't, listening to him tonight.
There's 124 urban seats in the North and Midlands. The Tories hold 20 of them. But the big way of doing this would be to show the Conservatives really understand the North and have an ambition and aspiration for the North.
And do they, after listening to this
I think they do. I mean, George Osborne last week made the point that...
Who's his father?
made the point that in the New Labour years, we had great economic growth, but that didn't spread to the North. And George Osborne made quite clear that this government does aspire for that to happen. But what the Conservatives need to do is attach themselves to job creation in the North. And yes, fracking might be a part of that. Fracking might be an important way of creating jobs, tackling the energy crisis. But there has to be only when local people
that's all well and good,
it.
but it shows that this man is out of touch, isn't it? If he is describing, oh, the North East is where you should go for fracking, because it's not very nice up there, in his words.
I don't think Lord Howell really stands for the Conservative Party. I think the Conservative Party has developed a good understanding of the North.
But he's a Tory peer, isn't he?
He is a Tory peer, but
and he advises the government, doesn't he?
I wouldn't say he's representative of the Tory Party in terms of what he said at all.
Isabel, what do you think? I mean, many Labour MPs jumping on the bandwagon here, saying this just highlights the Tories' problems in the North East.
Well, of course they're saying that. Yeah, I mean, of course there'll be lots of opportunistic kind of huffing and puffing about this from the Labour lot. I mean, I do think another aspect of this is that it will reinforce the impression that people have who live beyond the M25, that the political classes, the Westminster Village, is kind of out of touch and doesn't really think that there is life beyond the M25, that they think that somehow it's a sort of uninhabited, not very nice place to be.
And our viewers can certainly show us that it's anything but, actually, because we've had lots of lovely pictures being tweeted, as you can imagine, from proud North-Easterners. Let's have a look at a couple of them now. That's stunning, isn't it? The beaches are amazing, aren't they, up there? There's lovely white sand beaches. And Emma Lou has tweeted in saying, Lord Howell should try leaving London. As a northerner living in London, I miss the beautiful countryside and the fresh air. So what should he do to kind of make amends? What would you recommend that he does, David? Jump on a train and go up and apologise? As
I said earlier, I very much have an open invitation if he wants to do a tour of the North East. I'm very happy to show him all the beautiful places, Bamburgh Castle, Durham Cathedral, glorious countryside, great Northumbrian coastline. Anything but desolate, as I say.
We remember Boris Johnson, don't we, making a big gaffe about Liverpool.
Yeah, he wouldn't be the first politician to have to do a kind of shameful apology tour. Boris had to go up to Liverpool many years ago after offending people there.
And has he ever got over that? What do Liverpudlians make of him now, do you think?
Well, I haven't actually asked that question of Liverpudlians, and I think with Boris anyway, he's a very special case. You know, Boris sort of gets over numerous scrapes. I think with this one, people don't really know much about Lord Howell's, and he's probably forever going to be known as the person who said this.
A lot of people don't know much about the House of Lords, do they? And maybe that's one of the problems. And then looking at this clip tonight, you think, gosh, they're really out of touch, aren't they?
I think there will be a bit of that, though bear in mind there was quite an indignant reaction in the House of Lords, but there will be the sort of sense that this is some fuddy-duddy old buffer who doesn't really know what he's talking about.
And for those people who are watching tonight in the North East, what will they make of Lord Howell? What do you think they'll be thinking tonight?
I think their reaction would probably be the same as mine, a great sense of pride in the region's beauty.
Will they be angry at him? How will they be feeling? Because the Liverpudlians got very upset with Boris Johnson, didn't they?
I imagine they are more perplexed than angry, and more wanting to prove that the North East is anything but desolate.
Any words of advice, Isabel, before
Well,
we
I think
go?
you also need to find out where the shale gas is. I mean, I don't think that it's supposed to be a hotbed of shale gas up there anyway.
Probably in
It's the
Guildford.
northwest, I think, isn't it?
Where he's from. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.